If I dropped you in Hillsboro and Beaverton without telling you where you were, you'd immediately feel the difference. And today I'm breaking down exactly why that matters before you buy. Before you walk into any new construction model home, bring your realtor, or I would be honored to represent you. Builder reps work for the builder and not for you. I work to protect your interests, negotiate incentives, and make sure nothing gets signed that limits your options. Text me before your tour. I'll make sure you're covered. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian Valdez. I'm a local realtor here in the Portland metro and surrounding area. And today I'm going to be diving into one of the most common questions I get from buyers, relocators, and even people already living here who are thinking about moving within the West Side. The question is simple, but the answer isn't. Hillsboro or Beaverton? These two cities are both on the west side of Portland. They're relatively close to each other, but the lifestyle, the housing, the pace of life, and even the type of people they attract can feel very different once you actually live here. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what it's really like living in Hillsboro versus Beaverton. I'll talk about the median home prices, the types of homes you'll find, and what daily life feels like, where people spend their time, what actually is there to do here, where to eat, and who each city tends to be best for. If you're relocating, buying your first home, upgrading, downsizing, or even investing, this video should give you a much clearer picture of which one fits you better. And as always, I'll sprinkle in questions throughout, so feel free to pause, comment, and let me know what resonates with you. Let's start with the big picture, location and its first impressions. When I think about Beaverton, the first word that comes to mind is convenience. Beaverton sits roughly 7 miles west of downtown Portland. Because of that, it feels very close in. You're not far from the city, not far from major employers, and not far from a lot of things people associate with Portland living. Driving around Beaverton, it feels busy, active, and connected. Streets are fuller. There's always something going on. You're rarely far from a grocery store, restaurant, or gym, or coffee shop. For a lot of people, that's a huge plus. Hillsboro, on the other hand, sits further west, closer to about 12 miles from downtown Portland, and you feel that difference almost immediately. Hillsboro feels more spread out. It feels more spacious. It feels more like its own rather than its extension of Portland. A lot of people tell me Hillsboro feels calmer. There's less of that close-in congestion feel, especially once you get into that residential neighborhood. It's quieter in many areas, and there's a lot more breathing room. So even at the most basic level, ask yourself this: do you want to feel closer to Portland and everything that it comes with? Or are you okay being a bit further out, but it means more space in a different pace of life? Now let's get into housing, because for most people, this is where the decision really starts to take shape. In Beaverton, median home prices generally fall in the mid 500 to mid 600,000s. Of course, that varies by neighborhood. Areas closer to Portland, closer to transit, or near major employment hubs can push higher. Some pockets feel very competitive, especially for well-priced homes. What Beaverton does really well is housing variety. You'll find older single-family homes built in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You'll find mid-century neighborhoods with mature trees. You'll find newer townhomes, stacked condos, apartments, and mixed-use developments. There's a lot of attached housing in Beaverton, which makes it appealing for first-time buyers, downsizers, and people who don't want a big yard or heavy maintenance. If you like that idea of a townhome or condo near shops and restaurants, Beaverton offers more of that than most West Side suburbs. Hillsboro's housing market looks a little different. Median home prices here are often slightly lower, usually in the low 500s to high 500,000s, depending on where you're looking. Where Hillsboro really stands out is newer construction. You'll see larger subdivisions, planned communities, and homes built in the last 10 to 20 years. Floor plans tend to be more modern. You often get more square footage for the money. Garages are bigger, streets are wider. You can still find older neighborhoods near downtown Hillsboro, and there are townhomes and condos as well, but Hillsboro really attracts people who want a newer home, more spaces, or a traditional suburban setup. So pause for a second and think about this. Would you rather have a newer home with more space, or would you rather have an older home or townhouse closer to Portland with more nearby amenities? Now let's talk about what daily life actually feels like in each city. Living in Beaverton feels more compact and active. Neighborhoods are closer together, traffic is more noticeable, streets feel busier throughout the day. There's a constant sense of movement. You'll see a mix of families, young professionals, commuters, and longtime residents. A lot of people who live in Beaverton work in Portland or nearby cities, so the rhythm of the city often follows commute patterns. It feels energetic, it feels convenient, it feels like you're always close to something happening. Living in Hillsboro feels more residential and spread out. Neighborhoods feel quieter, especially in the evenings. You're more likely to hear kids playing, people walking their dogs, and less road noise if you're off the main corridor. Many families choose Hillsboro because of the space, the parks, and the community feel. It's a place where people often settle in for the long term. There's less of that in and out feeling that some close-in suburbans have. I often describe it this way. Beaverton feels like a blend of suburban and urban living. Hillsboro feels like a true suburban city with its own identity. Now let's talk about things to do, because lifestyle matters just as much as housing. Beaverton offers a lot of convenience when it comes to activities. You have places like the Tualatin Hills Nature Park, where you can go for a walk or a hike without ever leaving the city. That's a huge plus for people who want access to nature but don't want to drive that far. Downtown Beaverton has also grown a lot over the last couple of years. There are more events, more community gatherings, more markets, and even small businesses popping up. It feels like a city that's actively evolving. Hillsboro also does a great job with parks and outdoor spaces. Chute Park and Orenco Woods Nature Park are great examples. Many neighborhoods have their own green spaces, playgrounds, and walking paths nearby. Hillsboro also hosts community events that really bring people together. There's more of a small city pride feel. People show up, neighbors talk to each other. It feels very community oriented. So ask yourself this: do you prefer walkable outings and quick activities close to home, or do you like bigger parks, quieter spaces, and neighborhood-focused events? Now let's talk about food, because for a lot of people, this is non-negotiable. Beaverton's food scene is strong and still growing. Downtown Beaverton and Old Town have become real food destinations. You've got food cart pods, international cuisine, coffee shops, bakeries, and date night spots all within a relatively small area. It feels lively, it feels current, and there's always something new opening or something different to try. If you're someone who loves exploring food and dining out regularly, Beaverton has a lot to offer. Hillsboro's food scene is more low-key. You'll find solid local restaurants, bakeries, and family-owned spots that people return to again and again. It's less about chasing the newest thing and more about consistency and comfort. For a lot of Hillsboro residents, having a handful of favorite spots close to home is more important than being in the middle of a food hotspot. So think about this honestly. Are you someone who loves trying new restaurants and being in a growing food scene? Or do you prefer familiar places and a quieter dining vibe? Now let's talk commuting, because it's a big one. Beaverton generally wins if you're commuting into Portland. You're closer and the commute tends to feel more manageable. Transit options are more accessible and driving distances are shorter. Hillsboro does have max light rail access, which is great, but because it's further west, commute times can be longer depending on traffic and where you work. With that said, if you work in tech or on the west side near Hillsboro, Hillsboro can actually be the better choice. Living closer to work can make a huge difference in daily quality of life. So always consider where you work and how often you commute. That alone can tip the scales. So here's my honest take after helping a lot of buyers choose between these two cities. If you want proximity to Portland, a growing food scene, walkable pockets, and more active connected feel, Beaverton usually wins. If you want newer homes, more space, strong community vibes, quieter neighborhoods, and more of a traditional suburban lifestyle, Hillsboro is hard to beat. Neither one is better across the board, they're just different. It really comes down to how you live day to day, what stage of your life you're in, and what you value the most. So now I want to hear from you. Are you leaning Hillsboro? Are you leaning Beaverton? And why? What part of this comparison mattered most to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, or relocating, or investing anywhere in the west side of Portland, I'd be happy to help navigate it with you. Reach out anytime by calling me at 503-503-0446 or visiting my website at brianvaldezrealtor.com, and I'll see you on the next video.